Hey everybody, how you doing? I'm Orlando Cardenas, and welcome to another episode of the Wolfpack Show. With me, as usual, are my co-hosts
Aaron Lee.
Eddie Mendoza.
and today we have a very special guest. We have my very good friend who is the founder of the Shield of Faith coaching ministry. We have he's a trainer and life coach, and he's also an international best-selling author of the books You Were Born to Fly and The Making of a Millionaire Mind, Mr. Daniel Gomez. Welcome, Danny.
Man, it's an honor to be here with the Wolfpack. Woo!
We're happy to have you, my
today.
friend.
So,
We're happy
for
to
sure.
have you. Yeah. So, Danny, tell us a little bit about who Daniel Gomez is. I mean, again, I gave a brief synopsis of what you do. Tell us who you are and tell us how you started this journey.
Man, well, Daniel Gomez just loves people, right? I just
Man.
love pouring into people. Sometimes in life we think we got it all figured out, and you got the money in the bank, you got the title, you got the position, and then God has a way of knocking on your door. And
All day.
breast cancer came into my wife's life and our lives, and everything was turned upside down. And now, through that story, we started our business, and we're helping thousands of people across the world. And it's been a fun journey.
Awesome. Okay. Well, today's show topic is coming out of the storms. I know you talked a little bit about the breast cancer. I'm sure there was a lot of storms going there, and I'm sure there's some storms that you guys are going through now. So, there's a lot of people out there that are watching today's show, and they're wondering, is this normal? Is this something that happens to everybody? Is this, is there an end to this storm? So we're going to jump in, guys, a little bit on that, and we're all going to share a little bit of our own personal testimonies. We're also going to talk about how we have personally come out of some storms, and maybe some tips on how you guys can come out of your own personal storm. So if you're currently going through a storm, we're praying for you guys. We hope everything turns out well. Just remember, there is an end to each storm. Okay, so we're gonna dive right in. Types of storms. Let's start with the first one. The one of the most, I guess, the most common one is relationship issues. These storms having to do with divorce, breakups. There's people out there that are lonely that are looking for somebody. Danny, give me a little hindsight on that.
Well, I think one of the things you got to remember is you got to be selfless. So many, I think as men, especially Hispanic men, right, we're taught to be macho, to have, like, right, yo mando. And that was one of my issues. And I had to learn how to really be selfless. And I think if you're having an issue with even with your kids or your employees, right, it's be selfless and don't be selfish, because that's when you open up your heart to hear what's going on in that other person's life. So many times we want to speak because of our own insecurities, when really it's like, no, be quiet and listen, right? God gave us 2 ears and one mouth for a reason. So be a good listener. And I think if you really work on being a great listener, ladies and gentlemen, your relationships will get so much better.
I love
Okay.
that.
All right, Aaron,
I
coming
love
out of
that,
storms,
man.
man.
That's
Relationship
awesome, yeah.
storms.
I mean, I've been through a lot of them, just got out of one, and I think the biggest thing, and I love how you're saying, be selfless. I mean, I know that's definitely one of the key points in making a relationship work, is because there's two people, two hearts, two souls, two minds. So that's awesome. For me personally, I mean, I've never been married, right? Pretty much been single a majority of the time. For me personally, I find it a lot easier for me to focus on what I'm trying to do in my life's purpose, right? Through God and what I'm supposed to do, and being on this path alone. Whether or not it's going to happen one day or the other, I don't know, but I'm leaving in God's hands, right?
Yeah, for sure.
But
I mean,
coming out of storms, though, I've gone through a lot of relationship problems, and it's sad and it hurts, and it's always really painful to have to say goodbye to somebody, whether it's for a reason being that, bad stuff happens or whatever it is, or maybe just cutting the cord because that person's just not right for you.
or vice versa. Maybe you're not right for that person.
Or maybe you're not right for them. Yeah,
Okay.
absolutely. And it's just, it hurts having to cut that cord. But yeah, I mean, the way that I get out of the storm really is I try to engulf myself in work.
Okay.
Right. That's kind of my mindset, to be able to just push that all the way, and get myself right. Obviously my kids, spending time with them and putting more focus on them rather than on my relationships. That's how I look at getting out of a storm, and obviously praying and doing a lot of faith and going to church. So
Gotcha.
that's definitely for relationships. Those are my key things. I would say, definitely pray. To believe it or not, one of the biggest tragedies I had in a relationship helped somebody out, and they ended up turning their back on me and trying to get me in trouble with the law. But that was the first time in my entire life I got on my hands and my knees
Wow.
and prayed, right, through that storm. So now looking back at it, I appreciate that.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, I mean, and yeah, and like you said, relationship storms are never easy for either party. I mean, sometimes even if you come to mutual agreement and say, "Hey, look, it's not working for either one of us,"
Yeah.
there's got to be better out there, a better world, a better life. Even if you're by yourself. But a lot of people they struggle with that because we fall in love with the idea of who that person could be
Sure.
or what the relationship could be in the future, and we just we just forget to rely on God and rely on the fact that there is something at the end of that tunnel,
Sure.
a light at the end of the tunnel. Me personally, I've been through a few of my own, and like you said, they're never easy. I don't
Yeah.
care how many you have, but relying on one again, God, and again, family and friends.
Yeah.
That helps me keep busy. And I think that's going to be for me and you, it's a common theme there when it comes to getting over a relationship
Sure.
storm.
Sure.
Just having somebody
And
else.
I think real quick,
Yeah.
I think looking back, I don't have any regrets
Yeah,
on
for
any
sure.
of the ones that I've been.
Same, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's all been a learning experience,
Right.
right? We
Absolutely.
learn how to build ourselves better, and we build stronger, and we
Take
say, okay,
steps. Take
yeah.
steps
And
up.
I think
Yeah.
that at this level of who I am, I personally think that whoever's out there is going to get the best version
Sure.
of me.
Absolutely. I love
So
that.
yeah,
Yeah.
Eddie.
With me, I think as a matter of fact, I was just thinking about it. It was about 16 years ago, probably this week, that I gave my life to God.
Okay.
That
Oh,
I
amen.
found God, and it was through an Acts retreat.
Mhm.
I was really lost before all that, and I've had my struggles since then. And these 16 years is a long time, but God actually helped me get through that. It helped me understand that I wasn't alone in this world, where before I felt like I was alone. That I knew that that even in if I may have felt alone on this earth, I knew I wasn't alone in spirit.
Sure.
Gotcha.
And so that helped me a lot, and that's helped me to this point. I've had a lot of my own personal storms. A lot of in relationships to money to personal relationships with even with family that have really tested my faith.
Sure.
I always like when I always go through a storm, I always like to think of the movie with Andy Dufresne. What's the name of the movie?
The
Shawshank Redemption,
Oh, yeah.
where he says Andy Dufresne crawled through 5 miles of shit just to come clean on the other
On the
side.
other side, yeah.
Yeah, and that's how I feel
Wow.
every time I go through a storm, and
That
I'm always
actually
end
makes
up.
a- yeah, that
Yeah,
makes
that's
a lot of
profound.
sense.
Yeah,
right
I always feel like I'm cleaner
Yeah.
after I've gone through it. So
Yeah, that's
yeah,
great.
it's a struggle. It's not easy, but it actually does make you stronger.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I think I'm right in the middle of that shit tunnel right now, trying to chill out. But that's a good thing. Yeah, thank God he sent you because that's a.
Well, I love what Eddie said, right? Because it's like when he found God, it's hard to be kind to other people if you can't even be kind to yourself.
Yeah.
Correct.
Right?
Well,
So
hurt people hurt people.
How can you
right?
show compassion and love to other people if you can't love yourself? So I think I want the audience to hear what Eddie said, right? Love yourself enough to really share that love with other people. Because if you don't love yourself, it's hard to love other people.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, so speaking of relationship storms, we talked in the beginning of the episode that you and your wife are going through the cancer situation with her. You want to talk a little bit about that since that is what we would consider a relationship storm.
Yeah, well, I think so many times as a man, for me, we think we pay the bills and we lead the household, and especially in our Mexican culture, we're taught yo mando, right? And when we found out that she had breast cancer, like it really, you had to let go and let God, but you had to really get yourself out of the way. And what I mean by that is that when you're so used to being focused on yourself, and you think because you're providing a car for your kids and you're paying the bills, but no, sometimes they just want the relationship of a husband's love,
Mhm.
of attention, right, of compassion. And your kids they don't care about the iPhone. They just want to talk to their dad about whatever. And
Sure.
I think we forget to love, right, because we bring home work all the time. And I had to really self-assess who I was, and I didn't realize this. I didn't realize how much junk I had inside of me. Like when I looked in the mirror with Daniel Gomez, I didn't like who I was. So in order for my relationships to get better and my marriage to get better, I had to work on me. And so many men don't want to, right? We sweep it under the rug.
Yeah, for
and
sure.
we don't deal with it, and we deal with it with alcohol or with drugs or food, whatever it is for you watching. But there comes a point where you gotta, all those things we bury, sooner or later they're gonna come to the surface, and you have to, right? Forgive yourself. I think so many people, to better your relationships, you got to forgive yourself at some point.
Yeah.
And we all need to forgive ourselves, and then forgive others. And when you do that, it really helped me to listen, right, to really hear what my wife had to say and not be that asshole of a husband to really what right from their perspective,
Yeah.
what's going on in her world.
Yeah, because a lot of times us as men, we're the fixers. We want to fix a situation. Obviously, breast cancer is not something Daniel Gomez, because I didn't see MD on your title here, could fix, right?
Yeah.
So obviously, it's something that you have to you weather the storm together. And I'm not sure where you guys are at in that journey, but I mean it is a humbling situation where you're taken back and you're like, okay, there's people out there right now. What kind of advice would that are going through something similar, some kind of an illness that maybe a spouse has or a loved one, or maybe themselves. What kind of advice would you give them if this is their storm specifically, having to do with the specific storm that you and your wife are going through?
Well, I think Eddie gave us the answer, right? You need to realize you can't do this by yourself. Your title, your success, your material items ain't gonna save you. God put me in a situation where I had to humble myself and just really go back to my faith. Go back to my faith and ask God, right? I think something that my wife always said is the first thing is you can't play the victim. Don't say why me. My wife always said, why not me? And you have to ask yourself, why not you? And what's the lesson behind this? What good can come out of this? You're asking yourself, yeah, Daniel, right, whatever. Like, no, like when my wife had breast cancer, it was a blessing in disguise. Like it brought me here in front of you and brought me here on this podcast, and it restored my marriage with my wife. It healed me. It healed my relationship with my kids. Like, you have to be honest with yourself and look inside yourself and say, what can I learn from what's this? And what do I need to let go of, right? I think sometimes when we have cancer, when we have these arthritis or whatever disease you have, it's because, right, we have anger inside of us. We have resentment and all these emotions. I saw my brother literally kill himself because he never got over our mom, right, dying when we were kids. And he had all this resentment and all this bitterness. And he was always like, how can you be so happy, Daniel? And I'm like, what are you talking about, Junior? We can't stop living life.
Yeah.
But all these emotions that are toxic to us inside, they kill us. They eat us
Sure.
from the inside out.
Absolutely.
And I would encourage you, don't play the victim. And, right, ask God into your heart to help you through this. Because if it wasn't for God, I don't know where we would be, to be honest with you.
Amen.
That's
And
great.
I think that's going to be the kind of the common theme with everything for those that are spiritual, right? That's going to be the common theme when it comes to weathering the storm and coming out of the storm. The next storm that we want to talk about is the financial storm. I mean, we've all been there. Some of us are there now. Some of us are getting past it, or some people are just going through it right now. There's a lot of people out there that these are in specific order. Because again, the relationship issues is usually number one when it comes to storms. Two on the list is financially. What do you do? And then we'll start here with Eddie. Financial storms. What's your outlook on that? And how would you suggest to somebody to come out of a financial storm?
Financial storms are difficult because, even though as Christians we don't like to think that the money makes the world go round, but it kind of does. Without it, you don't have things that you need, light, food, a way to get to work in order to make that money to pay the light and the food. So, that's with when you don't have that and it's a struggle. That's a humbling experience in itself.
Yeah, for sure.
When you don't have that and you're, at one point you do have it, let's say you do have it and all of a sudden it's gone. It goes away just as soon as you got it.
Yeah.
And that happens, you're kind of left empty because that's what was filling you that whole time. I've been blessed enough to be able to get through life and not be hungry, evidently, obviously. And then not only that,
Someone
but
fed my boy well.
Thank you for your honesty, Eddie.
I was
I would've
finding
never-
I mean, we
food.
would have found out eventually.
I would have never known.
But yeah.
But I was able to come out clean on the other side. I always, it was a very humbling experience to come from, to be honest with you, I grew up with my grandparents mainly on the south side. And me and you were just talking about that, Danny. We grew up not too far from each other, and my grandfather was the leader of the food pantry at his church, Our Lady of the Angels on Stonewall.
Yeah.
Okay, so my
I
grandfather.
did my first communion there.
Okay, really?
Nice.
Okay, cool. So he was the food pantry man, and he would get orders from the rectory, and he'd come fill these orders, and I'd go help him in the summertime when I was out of school, and it was such a humbling experience to put this food together for these families, and when they got it, it was just like, oh, gracias, señor Martinez, and it was very humbling. And sometimes he'd even say, "Then aquí tengo $10." Oh, thank you, thank you. I mean, it was $10, but it meant something to them, right? So to go through that, because my grandfather, he worked at Kelly Air Force Base, retired after about 30 years of working there. Put all his kids through Catholic school. He had 4 kids. He put the Catholic school. He worked his ass off to do that, to make sure that they were never going to suffer, that he was always going to find a way, find the means. My grandmother was a stay-at-home mom, housewife, and that's what he wanted to make sure that everybody was fed, even all the way up to his grandkids, his great grandkids, my daughters. He always wanted to make sure they were fed when they were little. So I've been blessed, not to have to struggle too much, but also I'm not too proud to eat a bologna sandwich.
Yeah.
Either.
Well,
There's people out
good
there
stuff,
who have that.
though.
Yeah, there's people out there who refuse to do it. They just won't
Mm-hmm.
do it. And especially in this day and age where you have everything instantaneous,
Mm-hmm.
and when you can just order food and it just comes to you now. But it takes means to do that, though.
Yeah, for sure.
It takes means to do that. So.
Aaron?
Yeah, financial, man. Definitely been hit with that. I think for me personally, I think I was, I'm just born with I can't sit down, So if I'm going through a financial struggle, I get my ass up and I try to find other ways and other means to make money.
Yeah.
Obviously, if something affected me with my health and I wasn't able to do that, that would be a different story. But knowing me, I'd probably get online and try to figure out another way to make money.
There's
somehow,
always
right?
there's always a way. Yeah.
So yeah, I think financial. I mean, it happens, and it happens to all of us. Nobody's impervious to it. I think the best thing is to just get your mind right and hustle and get your money up.
Yeah, because again, like Eddie said, even though we know money doesn't fix everything, it fixes a lot of things.
It makes things
right?
easier.
Yeah,
It
it
definitely
does.
makes things
You know,
easier.
I know personally, I've been through some financial issues before, and look, it's not financial issues are not just when you don't have money. Sometimes you don't even have access to your money. And that, trust me, that is a humbling experience in
Yeah,
itself.
that too.
Not being able to
When
to
you
have
have it.
yeah,
When you have
and
it.
you're
Oh, I
used
know.
to having it, and you
Oh, I
see
know.
it's right there, and I need to take care of this, and what I need to use to take care of this is literally in my reach, but I can't touch it
Yeah,
for
I know what
whatever
you're talking
reason.
about. Yep.
That is a whole humbling experience in itself,
Oh, yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Because again, it's God's way of putting your life on pause and saying, wait a minute, and this is me personally,
Yeah.
you are not spending enough time with me, so I'm going to make sure that whatever distraction is keeping you from me, whatever obstacle is keeping you away from me, I'm going to put that aside where you can't touch it. So now it's just you and me.
I know
Here we
exactly
are
what you're
again,
talking about. I know exactly what you're
and for me personally, when it came to financial storms, like you said, I tackle them like that. We are in a land where we're so blessed that if you need money today, you can make money today. We're not under any kind of a communist regime where we have to, rely on the government for this, that, and the other. We can go out there and make our own way, right? It's like the Bible says, the crops are plenty, but the laborers are few.
Exactly.
We can go out there and hustle and bust ass for it. Again, we also live in a spoiled society where we don't, exercise those options. So, sometimes you have to, when it comes to financial storms, you have to evaluate your situation. Is it because of you? Is it something you're just not doing? Are you chasing the wrong dream? Are you chasing the wrong, opportunity? Or are you not chasing an opportunity to begin with? Because I've been around people that they have an opportunity to make money, and they choose just to live their mundane life, and or just go and every day just get their paycheck and that's it. To me, I've always been insulted when someone tried to offer me a paycheck when I know I am the paycheck and I can make so much more. But again, if you're going through financial storms, I mean, for whatever reason, sometimes it could be because of health issues or mental health issues or whatever. I mean, you really have to make sure that you do everything within your power to get out there and try to make some means for yourself. So, Danny?
Man, that's a subject that's dear to my heart, right? I think, right, in short, millionaire mindset, you have to really change 3 things to start off with. You have to, first of all, most people undervalue themselves. In order to receive more value, to receive more compensation, more revenue in your business, you have to value yourself. And over 90% of people undervalue their worth. They don't think they're worthy and deserving of success. So you got to see your value and know that you're worthy and deserving of that. Then the second thing is, right, after you see the value and you start attracting that success, you start attracting monies and income, right? You got to give back to God. I believe in, right? What's helped us grow tremendously is we tithe, right?
Mm-hmm.
You give 10%. For every dollar you make, you give 10 cents to
Mm-hmm.
God. And then this is the part where most people struggle, right? What helped me and my wife get through what we got through is for the longest times we saved a dime from every dollar. So with the first dime, we always gave it to God. And the second dime, we always paid ourselves. You got to get in the habit of paying yourself.
For sure.
And people say, well, I'm in a financial issue. That's why you're in a financial issue because you haven't saved money, right? I
Mm-hmm.
mean, you have to
Yeah.
get in the habit of saving money. And the thing is, once you start accumulating a savings account, right, you attract that because you already have it. So what you have, you focus on, you attract more of it. And like kind of what Eddie said, right? Money, right? We have the wrong belief system about money. You have to believe that God didn't put us here to be broke. God didn't put us here. He said, "Be
Mm-hmm.
fruitful and
Sure.
multiply."
Yes.
So when you shift your mindset from a poor-minded financial economy to that of abundance to that of a millionaire-minded person, you attract it, right? People think money and then success comes. No, you're successful inside of
Mm-hmm.
yourself, and then the finances
Yeah.
come. So it comes a point where you're not actually chasing the dollar; the opportunities are chasing you because you value yourself.
Yeah.
And most people, right, we don't focus on our value. And I really want your audience to hear that. The more you value yourself, put it this way: if you're a business owner watching this, the marketplace is going to pay you according to the value you deliver to it.
Mm-hmm.
Is your business not making money? Is your business in the red? Guess what? You're not delivering value in your products or services. So what do you need to do to change that?
Mm-hmm.
But I think it's those three things. You got to value yourself, value what you're delivering, and then give a dime to God,
Yeah.
and give a dime pay yourself.
Yeah.
And we do that consistently, there won't be a financial shortage.
So how do you tackle? Let's say, for example, you're doing all those things, and then all of a sudden you're stricken, and you're for the next 3 months, because studies say that everybody in the United States is 3 months away from homelessness.
Yeah.
You lose your income for 3 months. Some issues start to come in, and the storms start to hit, and then before you know, you're flat down in the middle of a freaking tornado. That's coming down on you. So your advice. I mean, I know. Like you said, saving all that. I'm more of an investor. I'm not a saver. I believe, that you invest what you have, but in the tithing and all that, I firmly believe that. But what would you be your suggestion or your advice to someone who is bedridden or is not able to get up there and physically, make money?
Well, I think it goes back to what do you think is important? Because if you don't think money is important, right? People say, "Well, I just want to be happy." Well, I just want to, right? I just want to be loved and I want to be happy, which is great, but
Mm-hmm.
you can't pay your water bill with love.
Mm-hmm.
You can't go to the bank and draw out happiness. You can't
Yeah,
draw
yeah. There's
out,
not yeah. There's not a
right? You
savings
can't
account for
draw it
that.
out. I mean, the reality is you need to change your relationship with money. And
Yeah.
the irony is in our country we've been taught conditioned to think in poverty, right?
Mm-hmm.
We've been conditioned to be consumers. We've been
Mm-hmm.
conditioned. So it's really a shift in your perspective of finances. And right, if someone is ill, you got to think about this. I mean, every situation is dynamic, but I think the wisdom is this: is that what legacy are you leaving for your family?
Mm-hmm.
And right, and it's not that I save everything, but it's like, yeah, you save 10%, but the other part of it you invested in yourself, right? Our business has grown
Mm-hmm.
because we've invested hundreds of thousands into ourselves.
Yeah.
So the wisdom is, you really got to change your relationship to see that what is what is my perspective? How do I
Excuse me.
see money? Because the truth is, there's an abundance of opportunity out there,
Mm-hmm.
but you don't see it because you don't think that way. So I think to answer your question, if someone is sick, I mean that's kind of an isolated situation. So it's not, I really don't have an answer for that. But I think is, what are you doing if you're always in a financial stress? Like I say this, when and me and my wife used to have disagreements with family members because we were right. If you're always putting a band-aid on your family members' buckets that's leaking
Mm-hmm.
water, that's leaking money,
Mm-hmm.
you're not a bank,
Yeah.
and you gotta there's something that needs to be fixed. So my question or my answer to overall to the financial issue is this: is don't stop treating the symptom. What's the root problem of that?
Mm-hmm.
What's causing you to be in financial disarray all the time? What's causing you to be that? What's causing that? Because there's something causing that. It's like, right? It's like if you break out in a rash, it wasn't the fact that you have a rash. It's like, well, The root problem was the poison ivy caused that.
Mhm.
So what's the root? You gotta. So many people go to the symptoms, but you gotta go to the root of the problem.
Okay, gotcha. So yeah, those are all really good points. But hey, Danny, before we go into the next topic or the next subject, do me a favor. Talk a little bit more about the women's conference that you and your wife are putting on together. Your team that putting together.
Yeah. So in October, every October we have a women's conference right here. The little pick wristbands that
Yep.
we have the Mighty Strong Foundation. It's mightystrongfoundation.com, and what we do is that we give back to women with breast cancer. So October 15th of this year, October 15th, 2022, at the Norris Conference Center, we're bringing in 7 amazing speakers that are going to speak about personal growth, inspiration, just a day of inspiration and a day of personal growth, right? Because we all
Nice.
need the encouragement. And the proceeds that we raise, we give back to our nonprofit, which is a full-blown 501c, fully tax deductible. So if you want to go and donate at the mightystrongfoundation.com, we welcome all your gifts. But it's really giving back to women, because when we were going on our journey, people don't realize, even though with insurance, you have insurance, you still have gaps, right? Because we're paying $1,000 a week, radiation, chemotherapy, all that stuff. It adds up.
Yes.
And a lot of the nonprofits that were up there, nothing bad about them, but you got to wait 90 days, 3 months, 120 days. That's a long time, right? Because somebody out there,
They need it
but
now,
within
yeah.
within 90 days, you lost your car, you lost your right, your lights turned off.
Yeah.
So what the Mighty Strong Foundation does is we supplement co-pays for chemo, co-pays for radiation, and then if you need right groceries, or if you need gas money, or something. So some people, $100 is a lot of money. So that's where our nonprofit, the Mighty Strong Foundation, fills in the gap. So when you come October 15th, go to Eventbrite right now, get your tickets, right? You get a cool little wristband like this, and you're supporting a great cause. Not only are you going to grow yourself, but we have the VIP ticket, which includes a nice lunch, and it's going to be on a Saturday, October 15th, from 9 to 1:30. Afterward is a lunch, and then we have a networking event. So we still have 2 vendor spots available. So if you want to be a vendor, definitely go out there. But it's really a day of giving back to the community and the women, to really inspire them and just grow, right? Just to grow their lives and to go to the next level within themselves. At the same time, you're supporting a great cause.
Okay, gotcha.
Right. So what other things can they expect, as far as, I know you did mention that there'd be a lot of inspirational speakers. What about what sort of messages would they be listening to at the conference? I mean,
Well, we're bringing in some top speakers from California and Florida, and really, if someone's thinking about coming, great question that is, like, right, one idea can change your life.
Right.
Because so many people out there, women are living a life that they're not happy, right? They're going to work and they're tolerating that. And like that the last event, this one lady, she goes, my whole life changed. I found my purpose. So the reason we bring in a variety of speakers is because, right, every speaker has a different message. Like one speaker is going to talk about you can do hard things. So you can do hard things, and so many people, we get comfortable in life, Eddie, and we don't challenge ourselves anymore.
Right.
And we're just living paycheck to paycheck. And like that one lady that came last year, that one attendee, her life changed. She went out there, she took action, she started her own business. It was a dream she had, but she said, wow, I really have a purpose. So most people don't even, right, they're just existing. They're not really living to live the life they want. So
Right.
when you come to the women's conference, you're going to get 1 or 2 great ideas that are going to change your life, change your perspective, and really just help you become a better human being. You never know. One idea can make a huge difference in someone's life, Eddie. So that's why we highly encourage all women to come. Besides you supporting a great cause, like I guarantee you, with all the 7 speakers we have, one of them is going to hit you in the heart. I promise you that.
Wow.
Yeah, that's awesome, Daniel. That sounds like some great info and great things that are going to help motivate, inspire, and push some of the women. That's awesome. Very, very inspiring.
Yeah,
Yeah.
see, that's something that's needed nowadays because again, you get conferences all the time for business people, but this is something that just any lady, any woman that's going through some kind of hardships or whatever, or just needs a little boost can come to you. And I know Danny personally. I know those guys. I mean, people like us, people always ask this one question. Eddie just got posed this question a while back, but are they really that positive? I mean, you hear it all the time. Like, is this guy real? Like, is he really that positive? Yes.
Yeah,
So
all
I
the
like him
time.
because
Yeah.
every time I talk to him, we
Oh, yeah.
pray together, we bless each other. I love you, brother. This and that and the other. So we do the same thing. But yeah, some people need that. You'll be surprised how many times I've been a speaker somewhere and I see the same person sitting there. And for whatever reason, hey, if you got the money, if you got the means to go all the time, then go. But they come out of there uplifted. So if you're looking for something, ladies, if you're looking for something to help just kind of reignite that fire of life for you, or just go and just you want a positive, something different, something alternative to what we normally do on the weekends. Give these guys a try. Go check it out. Like again, you sent the information. We're gonna post it on the video here as well. But yeah, that's gonna be some good stuff, man. I personally, I'm looking forward. I know we're sponsored though. We're looking forward to being there and
Yeah, and
enjoying
thank you to the
time.
Wolfpack for being a sponsor.
Of course,
So
yeah,
we're honored to
we
have you
definitely
guys.
support that. I mean, yeah, and anything you do, you put your stamp on it. It's successful. We know because you
We'll
follow
be there.
God and what you're
Yeah,
doing,
we'll be
and we
there.
support you as
Yeah,
well.
for
So,
sure.
but okay, get into the hardships of life again. When it comes to storms, the thing that people don't understand is storms. They're not always going to be there forever. At the end of every storm is what, Eddie? What happens at the end of the thunderstorm?
Sunshine.
Sunshine,
Rainbows.
Yes,
Rainbows.
exactly. Sunshine, rainbows, and butterflies.
Unicorns.
Yeah, well, I don't know.
Unicorns.
So we're trying to sit here and we've been through some stuff. I mean, me and my 48 years of life, I've been through some stuff. I know you guys have as well, but we're still here. That we have that positive outlook. We have a strong support, system behind us of friends and family, and of course we serve a big God, a God of miracles. And sometimes we do the whole Peter thing where we look off of, look away from the storm, look away from Jesus, and put our eyes on the storm. But I'm always reminded that in the storm in the struggle there's a lesson, right? And so for a lot of people, maybe financial is not the struggle, maybe a relationship is not the struggle, maybe it's something physical, maybe it is like your wife, going through the physical storm of breast cancer. I mean, there's a lot of people out there that are battling cancer. My dad is one of them. He's right now he's battling cancer. He's a strong man. I mean, this guy, he says he'll tell you right now, cancer's not gonna beat me. Like nothing else. They didn't take me out in war. They didn't take me out here and there in this mission, that mission. Cancer's not going to beat me, and he really believes it. And he owns that. He believes he serves a big God, and his big God is he's brought him out of life or death situations before. So okay, Aaron, let's start with you. Physical storms.
I think with the physical storms, it's very important to get a hold of your mental, right?
Okay.
And your mentality, right? Because everything starts up here, and once you lose up here, then you lose out here, right?
Sure.
So, as hard as it is, it's just like your dad's affirming, that he's gonna beat this. Just affirm it. Pray about it, and just continue to know that the end is gonna be great, right? You talked about the victim mentality, Daniel, earlier. And I think that's one thing, when you're going through some type of physical illness, it's really easy to get caught up and be like, this is it for me, this is going to be the end, and kind of keep that victim mentality and being strong, man, fighting, fighting, continuing to fight with and I think that holds true through all of these topics that we're talking about.
Yeah,
your mind, get your mind right, if the enemy within can win, then the enemy outside can't touch you, right?
Yes.
So you got to continually hit that. I mean, that would be my own personal advice. I've been very fortunate enough to not have physical health issues, up to my 39 years of life as of now. I try to eat right and take care of myself, but like I said again, I mean, I think the mental thing is just going to be able to push you over that edge. Don't give up, man. Don't lose. Just keep fighting.
Yeah, for sure. So the physical health thing it's one of those storms where people, I mean, again, we can, guys like us, we work hard and we try to secure our financial state. We work hard on relationship. We try to avoid the whole relationship storm. But, at any time we can all be stricken with
Sure.
and I rebuke it, but it's human nature. At any time we can get sick and something could happen.
Sure.
And I mean, it puts us in a position where now we're going through that storm. So it's not always something that we can avoid, but it is something that we can come through. So me personally, I've had some not so great health issues in the past. I mean, but my faith in God is what got me through it. And actually, I came out of there because once you go through a storm, you don't come out the same way that when you went in, right? You don't come out the same person because you do find your value, you do find your purpose when you're coming out of there. In the beginning, you're like batting down the hatches. Let's go through it, right?
Yeah.
And all you're worrying about is surviving. But when you come out and you look back, it's like, man, not even that could get me. Not even that storm knocked me off of my bridge or wherever I was standing. I'm firm footed. So for me personally, when I went through a time where I didn't know I was going to live. I mean, doctors had told me I had 9 months to a year to live. And so it caused me to totally reevaluate my life and revamp and pivot in a position where, okay, if I can go tomorrow, if I go today, I go knowing full-heartedly that wholeheartedly that I made my peace with God. I made my peace with anyone I had wronged here. I gave forgiveness where I could, to the people that had wronged me. But at the same time, it just made me a more positive person. I had a better outlook of life. So physically, again, sometimes it hurts. It's uncomfortable. It's an inconvenience. And I know there's a lot of people out there that are struggling with some real life shit. I mean, I'm not downplaying it whatsoever. But you know what? If you can hold on, and if you can make it through, trust me, there's a better life out there, and that's what we live for, right? Personally. Yeah. But Eddie,
I've had health issues from being big all my life. Like I mentioned this before, and as a matter of fact, today I'm sitting at minus 108 pounds that I was.
Wow.
About a year and a half ago.
Awesome.
Damn, 108 pounds?
Yeah, so
that's a whole person, bro.
Yeah.
Well, you look cute today.
Yeah.
I was 462 pounds. I'd gone to the doctor. The doctor's like, you have diabetes. You don't stop. You're not going to probably live to see halfway through 60 if you don't stop. So it scared me because my ex-wife, who was very diabetic, lost her life at a very young age, and left my daughters when they were hitting their teen years, and I thought, man, I'm all they have now, so I need to do something about it. I want to be here to see my grandkids, and my youngest, who is just about as diabetic as her mom was, who is now on her journey to get her life back in order as far as being more healthy. She, A1Cs, for those of you who don't know, diabetes, that's how your sugars are measured, how your diabetes is measured through A1C. And she was sitting like at a 12 at one time. Now she's down to like almost a 7. That's probably within the past 6 months because she's busting her ass and doing what she needs to do. So it would have been real easy for me to say, well, I'm 460 pounds. That's cool. I'll die. I'm good. And just kind of give up. But I didn't give up. I wanted to make sure that I was here for my kids. And at the time too, I was still looking for love. I had been in relationships. I had been in tumultuous relationships. I had been married, I'd been divorced. But I said, man, you know what? I want to be able to express myself to somebody, that special someone, and live my life out with that one person. So that was also a goal of mine to be able to achieve that. But yeah, like I was telling Orlando today, I was at JCPenney yesterday and I turned on a jacket. It was 4X and I was swimming in it. I was like, wow, okay. Yeah. So I put on a 3X and it fit perfect. I have not worn a 3X since I was 25 years old. About 22 years now.
Wow.
Yeah. So yeah, it was a good feeling. And I just, as long as I see that result, man, I'm good.
There you go.
Keep going, man. Don't stop.
Yeah. Can you imagine? Yeah.
You got there now. Another 100 pounds.
Yeah. I got.
You lose 2 people.
We'll be seeing Eddie in 2 extras. Yeah. So no the cheapness, eh?
Yeah. And by the way, I'm married, Eddie. Just to let you know.
I see the way he looks at you.
I know, right? I'm
like,
married over here.
Like, hey, I lost 108 pounds. What's up? Okay. You want to take any cracks at Eddie and his weight loss? No? Okay.
Nah.
But that's
support
amazing,
you, bro.
right? Just like Aaron was saying, your mindset. Sometimes we take our health for granted, and when you're put in a life or death situation, to lose 108 pounds, that's remarkable. Yeah. That's not something and to keep it off, that's another thing, right? Yeah. So people lose weight, but then, like I said, they undervalue themselves, so they don't retain that same passion, that same commitment to that, and I think most people, right, we take our health for granted. I'm guilty of that. What good does it do you to be the richest man in the cemetery? Yeah, because you failed to take care of yourself.
Sure. Right. Yeah, definitely.
I agree. And that's the thing about a storm is a good storm comes in. What do we say when there's a lot of allergens in the air? Oh, we need a good chubasco, like a good rain, to come and wash everything out, right? That's the thing about a good storm. A good storm comes and just like washes all the crud away, And life storms are no different. I mean, I know when those storms come, I know, okay, I'm gonna go through it because I know at the end it's gonna be better, right? Right. So yeah, I mean, it is what it is, right? You just got to keep moving forward. So okay, the next one is loneliness. Okay, so we're gonna talk and get into a little bit of mental health storms. Okay, we all know there's all kinds of different mental health storms. There's depression, there's anxiety. Of course there's loneliness. The reason I'm bringing that up is because a really good friend of mine and I were talking the other day, and she had mentioned to me that she's been single for the longest time. She's never been married. A lot of times she just wants to stay home and do nothing because she wants to have a partner out there with her. And I always tell her, like, she has a lot of friends that love her and all that good stuff. But loneliness is a storm that people go through, and a lot of times, I mean, you don't know, that someone's going through it because, again, loneliness, they're going through it alone, right?
Right.
And any, Danny, you being a motivational speaker, and life coach, what would you say to kind of empower someone that's going through the storm of loneliness?
Well, I think first of all, you gotta tap into your higher power. You gotta realize that you're not really alone. I think for me, I think as a human being, we're taught to always pray out and to be talking. But right, imagine we're having an amazing episode today, but if it was just one person talking and it wasn't a conversation, well then we were like, this isn't a fun episode.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, God speaks to us too. So I think it's really learning in your prayer time, right? You're speaking to God, but then just be quiet for 30. Like, right in the mornings, I wake up, I read a scripture, I'll pray for 10 minutes, and then I just meditate for 30, 45 minutes, and I receive, right, what God is saying, and it fills you up, right? Because when you're lonely, it's because we pour out so much. And I think this is the key right here, right? Sometimes we want to be approved so much by society or by people and friends and family that we're always giving, right? But the world is a world of dualities. There's hot, there's cold, there's up, there's down. Well, if you're giving, this is a problem. Most people don't know how to receive. And they're lonely because they don't know how to receive that love. They don't know how to receive that, right? They don't know how to receive that help. So if you don't know how to receive, you're going to feel that feeling of emptiness, of loneliness. And you really got to learn to say, hey, you know what, right? But what's a great example of that, right? I do a corporate training where we do a compliment exercise, and you'd be surprised how many people start to cry when I'll say, "Hey, Aaron, give give Orlando a sincere compliment."
I like
And
your
you look
shirt.
him in the eyes, right? And then we make Orlando say, right, "Thank you, I receive it." And when it comes to that thank you part, they cry and break down because they don't know how to receive. Because we're just always giving, 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 but you got to fill your cup too. And I think when you learn how to fill your cup, that loneliness will go away. That depression, it helps, right? It's a deeper than that, of course, because there's different root issues. But I think that's a great place to start, is to learn how to receive love, receive help. And we kind of talked about that earlier before we started recording this amazing episode. Is right. You got to ask for help sometimes, and who better ask for help? All right, fill yourself here, and then you fill yourself here. And then that loneliness isn't so there, but I think it's receiving that love.
See, that makes a lot of sense, Danny, because look, again, I can pray, you can pray, we can all pray for all kinds of blessings. I can pray, hey, God, send me a life partner. Like my friend, she's constantly praying for a good husband. But you're right. How can you pray for that and not put yourself out there to meet him? I mean, I'm sorry, but God's not going to just deliver him to your front door. I mean, he might, but, Norma's back there doing like, but, I mean, you do have to put yourself out there. And once you find that person, because nowadays people are just so terrified of relationships because they've been hurt in the past that when that package actually gets delivered, they're afraid to open the damn package.
Yeah.
So yeah, that makes a lot of sense. The whole receiving of it. Aaron, what do you think, bro? Excuse me.
I got a little different outlook on it, right? I don't know, it might be my age. I don't know. But for me personally, I always find my biggest growth is when I'm lonely.
Yes.
Right?
Isolation.
Yeah, I always say I'm the lone wolf. So when I feel like relationships for me personally with like, a partner end up always kind of bringing me down, at least so far to this point in my life, right? That's just kind of where I'm at, where I sit. Maybe I have a bad direction on picking partners, but
Well,
I don't know.
It's not hard to fall in that anymore because, I mean, nowadays, I hate to say it, there's the old cliche that all the good ones are taken, right?
Yeah.
But a lot of times, it's true. I mean,
Yeah, for sure.
I mean, but I mean, we hope to have that, but I'm like you. I've always felt that God has done His best work in me.
Sure.
When I'm by myself.
Absolutely.
When He totally isolates
Absolutely.
me, and because the Bible does say a single man does the work of God. A married man does the work of his spouse,
Right.
or a married person does the work of their spouse,
Right.
because that's the way it's designed to be, right? So I believe in that too, and again, I love the fact to receive the blessing. If you're praying for it, receive it. But if you are during going through that time of isolation, that storm of isolation, hey, you know what? I've come to find that it's a lot easier to take care of yourself during a storm than to have to,
take care of you and somebody else.
It does sound a little selfish.
Yeah.
But if you're by yourself, then it's not really selfish. You got to take care of yourself, right? Because no one else is going to come. There is no savior going to knock on your door. You know, Eddie, what do you think, bro?
So with loneliness, that's always been an issue of mine, and even in relationships. And I think that's kind of been, it's kind of reverse of what Aaron was saying, was that, in a lot of my relationships, I've always felt more lonely.
Yeah.
And it's probably because
that's the worst feeling.
yeah, because
ever,
I think I don't know, and I'm like, was I just picking the wrong ones? Was it just bad timing? What was it?
The wrong ones are so much fun sometimes.
They're the most. They're the most fun, dude.
Yeah, join me for my next show, the Toxico. The Toxico point of view.
And this was a conversation that me and Brandon were having today. Is that for the first time in my life, I have found somebody who it's like we complement each other. Like I've never had that, but even with my, and I'm not ashamed to say
I'm
my
glad
ex-wife.
to have you in my life too.
My,
Oh, sorry, no. What was it me?
No.
See, he didn't.
You're one of the toxicas.
You're
You're one of the toxicos.
No, Aaron and I got it. He didn't get it. But anyways, go ahead. I'm sorry, bro. I didn't mean to interrupt you.
For the first time, I'm actually giving this energy and I'm receiving this energy back the same way, if not more. And at first it was kind of like, what's going on here? Like this is not supposed to happen. You're supposed to kind of be a jerk to me, aren't you? It doesn't work that way with me. And I was telling Brandon, it's amazing how that just kind of happened, even when you said, because you know my story, you know what I went through, and so the whole thing was to stay single and to be able to do what I had to do in order to get my life right. I wasn't planning that. That wasn't the plan. I wasn't out there going, okay, who's going to be the next victim? Who was I going to say? Who's the next Mrs. Mendoza? Because I wasn't out there doing that. I was focused on me, and it just happened. And for the first time, I feel like it's right. And for a long time, I thought, okay, if I had dreams of having the family, being a grandfather, having all the grandkids around, just like my grandparents had, grandkids running through the house, the same way they did. And I had that dream. And then when I finally got tired of dealing with people, dealing with women's issues, and it was just, I said, you know what, forget it. It's not going to happen. I'm done with it. And it's almost kind of like God said, well, wait a minute. Don't give up so fast, because here's somebody that I think that might fit that bill for you. And I do feel that in my heart right now. I do feel that she is that person for me.
Well, you know what happened is, think about what you've been saying.
See, what happened
you
was...
shared you lost 108 pounds, so you started valuing yourself more. So you went from your energy level to a higher energy level. So instead of attracting a woman at this lower energy where you didn't value yourself, you attracted a more valuable woman that valued you because you valued yourself.
See,
that makes sense.
Does that make sense?
That makes a lot of sense.
Because, wait, hold on a second. So it freaking makes sense when Danny says it to you. But when we were saying it to you 3 months ago, it didn't make sense then.
Well, I'm an award-winning coach. That's why.
Hey, I don't need an award to put my foot in it. This is my best advice. Here's your award, Eddie. Boom. Okay, but
Eddie, I got you.
I'm so glad.
That's what we've been
that
trying to
someone
tell
was
you
able
this
to
whole
come in here
time.
and give Eddie some advice. Because shit, we needed it. Okay, well, okay, good. Thank you for sharing that, Eddie. But and Danny, thank you for coaching my boy up.
But that's key. I think that's key is what. But Eddie had to receive that also,
Yes, definitely.
because most people, they don't know how to receive.
And I wasn't going to receive it.
Yeah.
I had already said that's not happening. When we started talking, we both said that's not happening. I don't want that. You don't want that. Cool. We'll just be friends. We're good. And it just came to, and it just happened. We don't even know the time that it did happen. We couldn't even tell you. We just know that it happened, and it just worked out like that. And it's been great ever since. So and I was telling Brandon earlier, I don't expect this to be all sunshines and rainbows all the time.
Yeah.
Because it's not going to be.
Sure, there's storms in that too.
Yeah, there's going to be storms in that. But at least I'll be able to go through a storm with somebody who's going to hand me an umbrella.
Nice, yeah.
You know what I mean? And I've never had that before. Okay. So.
Well, I'll get you a raincoat.
Yeah, I was say, he better have it. Now, let me just say that. Okay, so you know what, guys? Thank you so much for all your input, Danny. We want to thank you once again
Yeah,
for
thanks, man.
for coming
It's a
and
pleasure.
joining us. Don't forget, if you guys, ladies, if you're out there, we do have quite a few ladies that watch our show.
Mm-hmm.
If you're out there and you're looking for something kind of like this, on a different level, because I know you guys do something like this, like on steroids, type of deal times
Yeah.
10. Again, look up Danny, and you want to mention the name of the foundation again?
Yeah, the Mighty Strong Foundation. Go to the mightystrongfoundation.com. We have the or Eventbrite, finding your inner beauty women's conference. It's on Eventbrite. Go to Eventbrite right now. We got a regular ticket and we got the VIP ticket, which includes a lunch. We want you to be a part of it, right? You're pouring back into women who have been impacted by breast cancer. Not only that, you can do hard things, right? Just imagine one idea can change your life, or one of the speakers can really impact you to find out how valuable you are. Maybe you're listening to us and it seems like the underlying thing is value, right? When we
Yes.
value ourselves, the whole life has a whole different perspective. So we love to see you at our Finding Your Inner Beauty Women's Conference, October 15th at the Norris Conference Center.
Yes,
Awesome.
ladies, it's worth the investment. Do not. I mean, we pay money for our nails, our hair, all this other crazy stuff. Invest in your mental health. That's something that can take you, leaps and bounds. Aaron, I know you want to thank some of our sponsors before we go.
Yeah, I want to give a shout out to our sponsor Leonard for he does hair and beauty and wax. I got waxed this weekend from him.
Yeah.
Maybe a little TMI, but it was for a pool. It was for
I
a
was
pool
gonna say
party.
you're shiny,
It
bro.
was for a pool party, man. So he came to the house. He was like,
I know they don't watch the top of your head, so I don't know. I'm wondering anyway. But yeah, Leonard, thank you so much. He's the best. Leonard the barber.
Yeah,
he
he's
takes
great.
care of us. He grooms us up. I know there's a video on our TikTok of him
Yes.
hooking Eddie
And
up.
then also Bar 321. We're having our Halloween party there. Bar 321 in San Antonio, Texas. Yeah.
Yes, thank you so much. We also want to thank our good friends over at First Class Credit Repair. If you guys are on the slopes of credit, poor credit, bad credit, or you want to boost your credit score on
Yep.
another couple hundred points or whatever, call our guys over at First Class Credit Repair. We'll put the information on the ticker there. But yeah, for the Wolfpack Show, this is Mr.
Daniel Gomez Inspires.
I am Orlando Cardenas.
Aaron Lee.
Eddie Mendoza.
Thank you so much once again for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe to our pages and tell a friend. We thank you.